Welcome to this episode of Strength in Numbers podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about our continued training and how we've been having to work out from home, and then we're going to go over a historic, one of the most historic World's Strongest Man competitions, the one that happened in 1990 that caused a lot of controversy about the styles of events. I guess to go ahead and start it off, how has your week been going on training, Cody?
My week's been going pretty well. I just got my safety squat bar, so I destroyed my legs. When was that? Yesterday, I believe. Friday. Totally destroyed my legs Friday. Felt good. Hit some meh numbers, we'll call it.
Safety squat bar is hard.
I love it. Love everything about it. It was I haven't squatted in a minute since I did the 500 for reps. Pretty much, I haven't actually had a serious squat day. So it was nice to get back into it. I did my reps with 315. I did my reps 315 on the safety squat bar. I did a top set of 335 by 5. Working on did some Penley rows with my log, just to try to start get my back engaged and working on some crush. Yeah, just working on crush strength too. So I'm basically grab my log and I act like I'm trying to push the handles into each other to get that crush strength for stones, and then just row it. So
the more engagement you can get on any compound movement, the better. Even if it's not directly related to the movement, the more engagement you get, the better. And the thing is, that's the cool thing. If you're squeezing it, you're getting pec engagement, and you don't even realize it until you get to your chest. You're like, hey, I got a little bit of extra pop.
Yeah, it felt really good, and it felt like it was as close to what it feels like picking up an Atlas stone that I've had yet, aside from picking up actual Atlas stones. So that's kind of where I'm at. I want to really work on that because I need to. I have an Atlas stone goal that I need to achieve. So I'm just really going for it. What about you, Matt? How's your at-home training been going?
Not super great, gotta be honest. I've mostly just been training grip because that's the implements I have. I have one band, but it's super light, and I just get boring. I get bored. Like, I can do 20 reps, but I get bored of that so fucking fast. And 20 reps of banded squats. I found one exercise that's fun to do but it's hard. And other than that, it's just trying to do what I can. Doing curls with my rolling grip thing and a band. It's about what I got. Do rows with it. It's hard. But other than that, I've been trying to not do much, honestly. It's been hard to get out. I gotta try and message my gym owner, see if they'll let me borrow some equipment. I'm getting tired of this.
Yeah,
I put a post on Facebook looking for weights. They replied.
I checked out Walmart just for some lightweights, and there was not a single kettlebell, band, plate, anything left in the local Walmart. So if you don't have them by now, the odds aren't great.
I was super lucky in that realm where I'd already had a full set of Olympic plates. I was missing the 2.5, so only 295 pounds of plates or whatever. 200. I only had 295 pounds of movable weight with the bar, but 255 I guess in plates. Then I got another full 300-pound set, and this was months ago. So I was pretty.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Stuff. And then I ordered my safety squat bar and log here recently, and the natural stones and whatnot. So yeah, I was kind of lucky.
Well, even Titan's been sold out of logs. They just got restocked. They've been sold out of squat racks. It's everywhere. All fitness equipment. These bands are fucking sold out everywhere.
And it's Titan Fitness, so yeah.
Yeah, but no, I've heard that their products can be bad, but they'll replace them really quickly and pretty easily. So
I buy everything from Titan Fitness because
it's cheap.
It's an okay value.
It's good. It's well valued. You're not.
The value is okay, And when you're buying a $200 implement that's a $450 implement, then you got to be willing to accept half of the quality because you're paying half the price. So its value, it's fine, but it is nowhere near like you touch anything from Rogue and you're like, wow, this is just 1,000. This is so much better. But if you're on a budget, it works.
I gotta be honest. If you put a Titan yoke right next to a yoke Rogue and they didn't have the branding on them, most people wouldn't be able to tell the difference in quality.
I haven't checked out their yokes, but I have seen the log comparison: a 12-inch Titan Fitness versus a 12-inch Rogue, and
I've
so
used
different.
both of them, and the Titan log had the knurled handles, which actually felt really, really good. But the Rogue log had the thinner handles, which were actually not bad either. So honestly,
and our Titan log is way more beat up than our Rogue log.
yeah, and that'll do it too. At my gym, our small Rogue log, our 10-inch Rogue log, both of the collars are bent up just a little bit. But it's not bad. That one also, the handles are big and they're wide. The handles are way wider, so I actually have to kind of do the crush anyway. So
yeah, I've got all my stuff finally taken care of this last week, and I got a barbell, I got some plates, I got a bunch of stones, I got a log. Yesterday, I finally was able to just kind of dial in. I feel like I got my first really good training day since all this stuff has started. So I'm finally back on schedule. I'm going to be able to hit some cool numbers while everyone else is kind of stuck. So, Danny, you have anything at your house, or you just been having to take the time off?
I haven't been taking the time off. I do have a pull-up bar, so it's just some free weights around the house or some textbooks, and it's mostly body weight exercises I've been doing, but nothing including a barbell or any weights.
man, I would be happy with two 45-pound dumbbells. I could get a lot of work done with that.
Yeah,
I don't even have that.
Yeah.
I can't even find 45-pound dumbbells. They're all sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
I managed to fill up a backpack to 70 pounds, but that's it. I can't find that type of heavy kettlebell or dumbbell either.
Yeah, you might be able to get creative and just look how people work out in prison, because they'll just fill garbage bags up with water to do curls. There's a lot of creative tips.
Have you guys heard of the Mike Tyson 21 card squat workout?
Yeah, that's what I tried doing yesterday. Well, it's not exactly his workout, but you just shuffle a deck of cards and you flip one over, and there's no rest time, and it's completely body weight squats. And I did that yesterday. I got through most of the deck, and my legs are very
so right I haven't done that one, but we did something similar. It was one of the most grueling workouts I've ever had. So we had squat, bench, overhead press, and deadlift, and it was a full deck of cards. That's where I got it from. Full deck of cards, the 4 major movements, and we had the deadlift at 225. Everything else was 135, and you would draw the cards, and if you had 2 of the same suit, you would stack it up. So if it was 10 of hearts and then 9 of hearts, that's 19 reps. And then when you finish that, you flip over the next card, and you keep going until you finish the whole deck. It took us I think we finished it in slightly under an hour, and I just laid on the ground for 20 minutes. That was brutal, because it's everything comes out to be 400 reps or something.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's 100 deadlifts, 100 bench presses, 100 overhead presses, and 100 squats.
So the Mike Tyson the prison card workout, what it is you take 21 cards, you squat down, you put one on the ground, take a step back, squat down, put one on the ground, squat down, put another one on the ground, so there's 2 on the ground. Go back, do the same thing until there's 3. I think you actually do it with a full deck. So you basically do it until you run out of cards. So you'll have 21 in a pile, and then you pick them all up again the exact same way, one at a time. And then there's a couple variations. You end up doing 230 something body weight squats over 5 minutes. It's crazy.
I can't even.
I tried doing body weight squats earlier, and I was nope, this is boring.
If you ever want to test yourself, a deck of cards, when you do it with the squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, that is brutal. Just aim for trying to finish in about under an hour. put on like 50% of your 1 rep maxes or 40%, and
for fuck's sake.
do it with
like
a friend.
Supersets.
Misery
I don't
loves
like
company.
giant sets.
I
like
nothing,
supersets. I don't really like giant sets.
It's just one giant set that takes an hour. That's like 400 and something reps.
Well, you could also just do a strongman competition.
But,
I mean, that just takes longer. But
I'd say it's worth doing because it's kind of fun when we did it.
Well,
But
yeah,
definitely do it with other people because you will be miserable, and them being miserable will make you feel better.
And that's a good idea too for everyone's current situation. I mean, you think about it. Because I never heard of the Tyson thing, but I heard the Ray Lewis one. So the 52 card things from Ray Lewis, that 52 speech. And so I thought that was interesting. And right now, and that was all body weight too. So it's like you lay it down, you do that many of each thing. And that is a solid workout. And you can get it done if you do it. Now, if you're repping it out at the beginning, you should be able to fly through about half the deck pretty quick. Because the most sets you're going to do is 10.
I really need to get a pull-up bar. I think that's the one thing I'm really missing from. And I do like pull-ups a little less, but I need a pull-up bar. I think it'll help me a lot.
You ever try handstand push-ups with like 2 stools just to get a little bit more range of motion?
No, I haven't tried that
not
yet.
In my weight class.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
I feel you, Justin. There ain't no way.
Well, I mean, if you guys get your overhead press enough, you should be able to do a body weight handstand push-up.
Like that's going to remain firmly in the lower weight classes in CrossFit categories. Let's see if Eddie Hall or Brian Shaw can pull it off for one.
I have
no clue how he's going to get into that position in the first place.
But like 7 people helping him.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
If we're allowed to have people helping me, I could probably do at least 2 of them.
No, to put you up in the position, not to like go up and down.
Did you guys see Eddie Hall doing a backflip? That shit was fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like Martins could actually do one if he slimmed down a bit.
Yeah, but then I guess. So, I guess we'll go ahead and transition now to the World's Strongest Man. So this one was really popular because the guy who lost, this is the one that he lost and he didn't win another year, right?
Yeah, no, Yeah, this was basically his one. It was essentially a one-off for him. He did make a couple appearances, but not after this one. He only made one other appearance, and this is actually one of my favorites because they
did a Viking shit lift in this one, right? Like with their shoulder thing.
I don't remember that. I more remember what happened in this one, and this one is one of my favorites, only because of what happens. Because the guy who, in my opinion, and the guy who won is one of my favorite strongmen of all time. It's probably everyone else's favorite strongman of all time too. One of their favorites, hands down. But the guy who was the strongest human on Earth that year definitely didn't win it, and it's a really interesting one. I'm actually really excited for the outcome and to rewatch it. I've watched this one a couple times, but it's been a while.
I know which one this one.
Okay, I think for the other 3 of us, we haven't seen it, so it's gonna be the first time.
Yeah, so I've only watched the first half of this one because 1990 was the year I was born, so I watched this one a couple times. But I don't remember a lot of this. It was a long time ago.
This one's one of my favorites. Like I'm just. Yeah.
Yeah. So going to
this one had Cleve Dean, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I'll say some cool stuff about him a little bit later.
So let's check out each event because I'm also curious to see how it stacks up with today.
Yeah, as far as weight goes. Well, some of the weights they use in these old strongest man are in kind of weird lifts, so they're hard to compare to modern numbers because they're actually kind of impressive for what they are.
Oh wow, okay, I just skipped it.
Yeah, you skipped a bunch.
We're here.
There's a lot of talking in between events for this year, so you can probably skip that. But of course, John Paul Sigmarsson.
Yeah. So the first one is what? They're pulling logs across a lake, river?
Yeah, a barge. They're pulling a barge full of logs. I think it weighs like 16,000. I'm not sure though.
So, Finland's strongest man is first to take the strain, the nylon rope biting into his hands. Plenty of advice from his coach Marku, and Jimmy reads all the effort appears to be coming from his arms. Yes,
I wish this was still things they did in World Strong Smith. I love this stuff. Like some of these older ones, and this is 1990.
Mm-hmm.
This is just amazing. It looks good. Oh, it's just so much fun.
And it looks hard, like, and you can tell that.
7.52 seconds.
Oh,
Do you
hey,
think they
Matt.
could have built up momentum on the water?
A little bit, yeah. And you kind of do that in any sled pull.
Yeah.
Any pull, you have to build up a little momentum and play off of it. If you win.
But even with that, just look at what they're pulling. Look at all those giant ass logs that they're pulling. This is.
And look how he's pulling. Look how rough the pull is and how uneven it is. And how much the rope is moving. Because there's so much, and that rope is so stretchy. Like that's the other thing you don't really see. That's why the rope is bended. It's a nylon rope, and it's actually stretching out because actual rope doesn't do that.
I kind of see why they didn't bring this event back though, because there's no context for how heavy this is.
Well, not just that, you'll see who wins and why he wins. Well, you keep watching and you'll understand why this is one of the events they had to take out.
But I still think it's
a cool looking event. That's like and I think they could do a boat pull. Like I think they haven't done a really good heavy pull in a while. They could do like a barge pull, and they could probably get that done, like a really heavy one, because those are kind of meant to float relatively easily. It'd be interesting to see how heavy of a boat they could do.
Yeah, it needs to, because it's so hard to know, because a lot of times when you're looking at a fence, you're like, I can kind of imagine how heavy this is or how hard this is. I really can't tell, like, what difficulty.
No.
It's just fucking hard. Fucking hard.
It looks heavy, right?
It's definitely hard. It just, I feel like the nylon rope was not a good addition.
No, definitely not.
So
it
the
doesn't.
boat rocks up and down and
it
moves. The barge, the rope, everything's just shaky. It's really...
Well, they did the nylon rope because it was in water. They didn't want the water to log the rope and the rope to be heavier for the next people, but it didn't really work that way. And the thing is, if you coat a rope in pitch, it doesn't get soggy.
But I mean, World Strongest Man, they still quite haven't worked out how to run a smooth competition. So
this is 1990. This is 13 or 14 years in, I think.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to get some like new event, and this is just.
If you look at all the older ones, the events change. Almost all the events will change year to year. I think log lift is one of the few that pops up consistently from early World's Strongest. You'll see the log lift pop up really, really consistently.
Well, yeah, the log lift the log lift is one of the staples, in my opinion, World Strongest. I mean, they were doing that in the 70s.
They were, yeah.
Like when Bill Kaz, those guys, they were doing log lifts back then. The logs were his log lift will stay.
Do you see how long his first pull was, and how slow it was, and how quickly he did the other pull? I love the rat tail. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, hey, Matt, can you adjust your volume? I think it's coming through on the podcast.
Yeah,
just for the video.
It is. Yeah.
But
there we go.
There we go.
Then this just goes on the list of stuff I want to try now.
Oh yeah, this would be so much fun. I get like there's no way to gauge it, and I understand all that stuff. But my God, just imagine like people watching you pull these logs, this raft of logs to you.
I wonder how the momentum feels compared to when you're doing like a truck pull or a car pull.
I would say,
because I wonder if you build up the same smoothness and feel of momentum, or if it's a lot more like rockier and bouncier.
I wonder. I would like to see them do some kind of
it's water
boat pull, because you do create a little bit of the ripple, and the water will actually push it a little bit as it's going. Did you see? Did you do John Paul's time versus everybody else's? It was like
50.
half.
No, it wasn't. This was like 57.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, who you're thinking of?
Yeah, he's up next.
Who you're thinking of? I'm not. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking I think people will be surprised.
Yeah, I think so. He is strong as hell. He was a NFL lineman, right? Look how his butt's not even on the ground. That's perfect.
So I'm curious how the technique goes. So they're doing it pretty good.
You know what's funny is 29 stones. I don't remember how heavy that. I think that's a little over 400.
It should be like 29 times 14. I think one stone is like 14 pounds, 14 and a half.
I think you're right. I have a calculator on it.
One thing that's sort of interesting, I've been watching them, is if you look at newer World Strongest Man, their hands are a lot faster getting back to the top of the rope.
Yeah.
And then, so like if you look, they'll finish their pull with one hand on the rope and start to move up the next one. And in current world, they just way more rapidly to get back into that sweet spot.
By the way, 406 pounds, 29 stone. I think that's right. And what's funny is that 406 pounds right now is kind of average for a top level strongman. Most of them are pushing 400.
You got Thor and Brian Shaw, who are usually
Jerry Pritchett pushes 400. Jeff Crone pushes 400. There's a few others that are heavier than you think. I know Jerry Pritchett's pretty heavy.
I don't think is he 400 pounds? Well, he's pretty tall. Isn't he 6?
Yeah, he's 6'5".
Okay.
And look at that belly. Come on. I don't remember his exact weight, but it might not be exactly 400. He might be like 98 or 336.
This is outdated, and he was 360 4 years ago. So if he was 360 4 years ago, he's going to be like 275, 290, pushing 400. Especially because his lifts have been going up substantially as well. So, he's putting on more meat.
Well, yeah, and you have to put on a lot of weight for the deadlift.
So who wins this today, Martins? Or who do you give this to today?
Whoever's the biggest. Thor, probably.
Well, this guy just beat him.
That's true.
Well, this guy just beat Odie, which I thought Odie won this event.
I thought so, too.
Not bad. Maybe I'll still be surprised, because it doesn't matter. Anyway. I think Mateus would find a way to win it.
Yeah, did you see in Barcelona they did a really heavy sled pull, even though it was kind of across a slick thing.
Yeah,
he's good at sled pulling.
Didn't Mateus beat like Thor and Brian Shaw in a pulling event? I think it was in 2019.
In a truck pull, yeah.
Yeah, in a truck pull, which was very surprising because.
This is Martin's truck pulls. I love these.
Oh, yeah, the old
there's one year. I think it's like 93.
Wait, so they did a boat pull into a truck pull?
Yeah.
Well, the boat was hand over hand. This is
Well, but you still wouldn't have that today. That seems like you'd have one or the other in competition.
Yeah, and they're always gonna do a truck or a plane or some big ass pull like this.
But one year they had a giant tractor, and the tractor was actually lighter than other things they pull, and nobody could fucking move it.
Because
Jeff Caves was like the champion of truck pulling at the time, and he couldn't fucking budge it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of technicalities with these truck pulls. Like the one that happened recently in World's Ultimate Strongman is they wouldn't allow
using like the track was slightly unlevel and
so they had their driver who was a strongman who was going to drive it, but the insurance company for like the vehicle it was some like $100,000, $200,000 fancy thing, and
millions.
$1 million thing, yeah. And so they're like, no, our driver has to drive it, and their driver doesn't know anything about strongman stuff. So he was like steering and stuff.
He was like counter steering against the direction they were pulling.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he actually started learning, and he made it a little easier on the guys.
Yeah. So each person got a slightly easier go, and Terry went really early on, and he dropped out because it was so brutal. And if you can actually see the car swerving a little bit when you watch his pull.
Oh wow.
Well, and if you see Iron Bibby do it, Iron Bibby just kind of sucks at a truck pull as well. Like, so,
yeah.
But look how fast John Paul is at this. Just like
John Paul learned from Jeff Capes.
Yeah.
Huh. I like this better. So the finish line, or do you? I don't know. So if you look,
it benefits the taller guys.
Because you can't, you have to touch the finish line, not tires cross. So.
Yeah, the taller guys win. There's more distance between where the belt is and where they're touching.
Yeah.
Well, you could adjust that by
the aid the taller guys.
That's easy to adjust, though. You just change the amount of links to.
Does it look like they do that?
Height. You could, but I almost like they dive in
to
reach for it more interesting.
Well, that's a huge chance of injury. You don't want a 400-pound guy falling on his face. Although they do. Well, that's one of the reasons why I do like the current harness, because it prevents them from falling a lot.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end.
And they now have a rope they can pull so their hands can get into it. So this is before they figured out, hey,
that's safer for your back. That's why they started doing it with the
and you can do heavier loads. So they can pull way more interesting vehicles. Yeah. So it's really weird watching them without the rope.
In the late 90s, they used railroad tracks. And it was kind of like a ladder they put on railroad tracks. And that was really interesting because they could get their hands in. But it was really dangerous. There was
that was always Pujanowski's event.
It was, but Big Z won one year because.
But then again, what wasn't Pujanowski's event?
I remember he won 1 year.
I don't know.
The last event in this competition, probably.
Everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he was like an Olympic rower. I think that's why he was really good at the pole thing.
The handover.
Which really changes a lot of the dynamic of the truck pull. Like, I feel like Martins would be greatly affected by not being able to pull with his arms.
Oh yeah, I think any of the smaller guys would be more effective.
Like Mateus wouldn't be able to do this. This would be straight Brian and Thor by a long shot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
That rope changes up the event so much.
It really does.
Because the more body weight you can throw above the pivot point, the
easier can actually be higher up. He can have a better position just because of his weight. He can offset it.
Yeah, like look at this.
Fucking run.
Yeah, that dude's a beast. I don't know. That's kind of cool. I kind of like it. I kind of like diving with your hand.
Yeah, Odie. Yeah.
Just give them some proper knee pads or whatever. I'm sure they can figure out how to fall like a foot and not hurt themselves.
Probably.
That's the thing. Like that's the type of thing where somebody would get a dumb injury.
Yeah. They have greatly reduced that. Well, I mean, I don't know. Everyone gets hurt anyways.
That's true.
When was the last competition where they've not been hurt? Like, has it changed that much? Because at the end of the day, the most dangerous event is like a 1-rep max deadlift, 1-rep max log, or like a stone series. That's pretty dangerous all on its own.
Oh yeah.
Kurt, you're skydiving. Oh damn it! Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
My mute button doesn't work at all on this fucking headset. Hold on just a second.
This is So this is O.D. Wilson running away with this event?
Yes.
My roommate's playing GTA and I can see him fucking up, so I have to give him some advice.
So this is a boat lift. I don't know. They did this with a log though in Strongest Man history, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is very similar to that, and they do say the weights on this one, and the weights get really high. I was actually kind of impressed.
So isn't this event just how much weight can you load on your spine before your disc pop?
Yeah,
Kinda,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what this is.
It's a really badly compromised lift, and I do like that they have the hand things, but yeah, that's not a place you should be loading
So
your
that's
spine
just
necessarily.
directly vertically on the spine. We're just going to lift it for a few inches and see how much tension a disc can take before they explode.
Yep. They only have to get up a tiny bit, but yeah, it sounds like a recipe for a bulging disc.
Because they have to have their back arced. It's not resting on their shoulders vertically. Let's lift it in the most bent position possible.
I'm really relatively sure this takes forever. I think each person does 4 or 5 lifts.
Well, it's really interesting because you can definitely tell when sports science and they started thinking about athletes more than it being a spectacle. Because you would never see where they're expecting them to load. Look at that back arch. And there's no other way to do it.
Well, not just that, they can't adjust the height. It's too heavy.
All right, and that just, and you're pushing awkwardly at a weird angle. This event's just designed to hurt you.
Yeah, it's not great in design, but that's the beauty of the older strongman stuff. Well, it's the beauty, and it's kind of
coach just slap him in the face with his towel.
Hell yeah, man!
Because a lot of this stuff would be, honestly, I think this would be cooler in CrossFit or something where the weight's way less dangerous, and they're doing it for reps. But doing awkward stuff that heavy just is, I don't know, that just seems sketchy.
Look how far down he has to bend too, just to get under it.
He doesn't have to. He just stood up. He's so big.
He just used his legs. Yeah.
He didn't use his back at all. All he had to do was just move his knees up. That was actually really cool. And they're loading with bags of concrete, or is that sand?
Yes,
sand.
Oh, right on top.
850 kilos. Did you hear them?
850
for the total weight for the whole apparatus. It's still, the thing is, they don't show you it's actually balanced on something. So it's
hinged.
Yeah, it's hinged.
But they're putting the weight right above them.
They are. They're putting all of the weight above them. But the boat itself weighs 300 kilos, I think.
Uh-huh.
And some of the boat and all the apparatus together weigh a decent amount.
So far, this is the first event I've looked at, and I'm like, I don't want to do it.
I wouldn't want to do this one.
I wouldn't want to do if it was my shoulder, I'd actually feel more comfortable with that than this.
Yeah, if I could do it in a vertical position where the weight was on my shoulders and they made that headpiece bigger, and then I could do it in a proper
or anyway, I could kind of stabilize it with my hands a little bit, or with other parts of my body.
Oh, the other thing is, if this is on a rigid lever and it can't go right to left, it might make it a little less dangerous.
It can go right to left.
So it's free flowing.
Yeah, if you watch them, it moves back and forth a little bit after it gets off the ground.
So every chance to make this not hurt them, they're like, no, yeah, I see. Yeah, it's not even close to rigid.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
It's a two-way hinge, but there's nothing to keep it from rocking back and forth at all.
So do you think when they complain now about that stone medley at the Arnold, the people who are doing this are like, you can't?
No, I think that
we had to deal with in our day.
I don't think the people could deal with the stuff we do now. I don't think the people back then could deal with the stuff they do now. We can do higher weights because they make it safer.
Yeah, because they make it safer, more stable, and more natural movements.
Yeah.
But I get what you are saying about complaining about that being dangerous. It's fucking peaches compared to this kind of shit.
Yeah, this is way more dangerous.
Dropping a 400-pound, 350-pound stone on your head can definitely
he's hurting. That pec is torn so bad.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh man, dude, just let it. That pec is gone.
And you're trying to push off with it too.
He's trying to use all arms too. There, that is not good. You hate to see it.
Yeah.
You have to work so hard to get here, and then something just pulls like that, and you're done, and there's nothing you can do about it. Unless you're Kelskowski, and then you just throw bag over bar and get second place with tendon in your leg.
You'll notice, I don't know if they do a deadlift, but some of the early strongmen, when they did deadlifts, it was kind of unfair towards the powerlifters because they used deadlift suits because they didn't disallow them because they didn't really know what they were. And so when strongmen first started using deadlift suits, powerlifters just started dominating the deadlift events.
Well, I mean, if you're a power lifter and you only train 3 lifts, you should be better at those 3 lifts than someone that trains 30 lifts.
Yeah.
True. But deadlift suits give you a lot of advantage over somebody not using a deadlift suit ever. Because there were people who just didn't even have deadlift suits trying to deadlift against guys in deadlift suits.
No, like I said, equipped power lifters should beat strongmen in most cases.
Yeah.
But I don't think. But right now we have the deadlift record. So.
Yeah. And we're going to have it again in a few weeks when Thor does it.
Well, we actually don't. Strongman doesn't have a powerlifting deadlift record because powerlifting is without straps.
Ah.
Well, wait. Is there? There's no.
All 3 major powerlifting leagues are without straps.
Okay, because I was wondering, I'm like, a powerlifter should be the
strongest. There might be 2 powerlifting leagues that allow straps, but they're tiny leagues nobody's in.
So the question then is, what is the best strapless versus strapless deadlift? Then, if you're comparing,
if you look up the powerlifting deadlift record, I actually think it's above Eddie's.
No, 500's the
you might be right, but it might be there might be a different. I might have been thinking there's a different deadlift record that's without straps. That's close to it.
Doesn't Benedict Magnuson hold the record without straps? It's like 1,036, something like that.
It might be, but
I think you're right. I think it's plus 1,000.
The strapless world record is 460 kilos. Oh, and it was Eddie Hall for a while. He held the raw deadlift record at 460 kilograms.
He held several deadlift records across several different powerlifting associations, a couple different rules. He was the best deadlifter in the world for a while.
Yeah.
And him pushing himself to get all those records, I think, is what helped push him to that 501. He knew how to get a world record.
See, I wasn't as confident in Eddie as I am in Thor.
Well, no.
When Eddie said he was going to get, but when Thor's looking like that 5-0, I really hope he doesn't do 501. I really hope he goes 505, 5010.
And no, he's going to do 501 because that's what they're paying him to do. He might do 505 later,
just because to take that record by 1 kilo. I'm pretty sure Eddie had another kilo in him. Prove that you're stronger than Eddie.
No, he did. Eddie almost died.
1 kilo?
Eddie almost died. 1 kilo would have killed him, I think.
Someone's record by 1 kilo, I'll give you the record, but I think you're as strong as them. You beat someone's record by 5 kilos, I'll say you're stronger.
I mean, beating people by 0.1 or 1 kilo, that's all powerlifting, basically.
But they said that about Julius Maddox when he broke the bench world record for Raw. They were like, oh, he only beat it by 1 kilo. That doesn't count. And then he beat his own record. And then he beat his own record again. And then he beat it again.
Yeah, so by the end of it, if Thor takes 505, I'll say Thor is the strongest deadlifter of all time. At the end of it, Thor never goes above 501. I'll in my head, him and Eddie will always be tied.
Thor can pull more unsuited than Eddie ever could.
Yeah, we're talking suited, equipped, strapped.
Well, I'm talking about best deadlifter ever. Best deadlifter ever is with or without straps or suits or anything.
I have to compare their numbers to see where that. But yeah, Thor does look better than Eddie looks.
Oh yeah, I think Thor's gonna pull. I hope he pulls 505, but whatever he puts on the bar that day, he's gonna pull it, and he's not gonna look like he was dying. I would be willing to bet that Thor's body is ready to deal with that weight, whereas Eddie's body was capable of dealing with the weight. It dealt with it, but wasn't ready for it.
Let me see.
Do you think Luke Richardson could pull over 500 kilos in like I don't know 5-6 years?
Luke Richardson.
Luke Richardson is really, really good. He got injured for a recent contest that he would have won otherwise. I think he got injured right before World Trunksman. This is a good one. I like this one a lot.
He was
for
the
an
youngest
event.
athlete to ever get over 1,000 kilogram total. 21 got 1,000 kilogram total.
Jesus.
That is ridiculous.
Who's that? Luke Richardson?
Yeah.
Okay, so
See,
So you guys
Quit?
watching the stone loading, right? Where they're dropping them all on the ground and in their shoes. This is so
Yeah.
dumb.
the thing is, like, it's actually a certain weight they're aiming to hit, so they
Yeah.
can load the bags as heavy as or light as they want.
Okay, so I sort of thought of something similar to this when I was saying you have a bunch of weighted bags you have to carry, and then you can choose
Yeah.
how many you carry. But having the loads pre-done is way better than having them load gravel and then carry it across and then load it. How do you trade for that? You just spend a lot of time shoveling gravel. Like you just put in like the training for this would be hilarious. That it would almost be worth all the YouTube content to see
By
Thor,
the way-
Martins, Brian, everyone out there just shoveling their
shoveling
driveways.
gravel.
Thor in powerlifting rules, his powerlifting contest, pulled 410 kilos on the deadlift without straps. He missed the lockout on 430 kilos, and he hit
Yeah.
a 460 kilogram squat.
Yeah, Thor has shown some interest in trying to go after the all-time powerlifting world record, but it doesn't look like he's looking at it in the next couple of years. It's like something that he wants to do before he retires, but he's mentioned it in one or two videos.
If it's in the cards, he might do it. If it's not in the cards, he's not going to worry about it. It's not something he's going to like go out of his way to accomplish, but it's also something that's definitely in the back of his mind. I think Larry Wheels just broke the powerlifting record for his weight class as well.
Yeah, I'm glad Larry's back because Larry he got into a lot of stuff, and he just couldn't get, and he kept hurting himself trying to just make good Instagram content.
Yeah, he was doing a little bit too much at once, but
And
I'm
now
glad
that he's
he
back
dialed it
focused,
back
he's setting
and-
records.
I'll be right back.
I wonder how much those weigh. It's really, this is another thing. This is the one thing about Old World's Strongest Man is the context for how much they're lifting is really hard to get in your head.
But see, I like this though because it.
I mean, they're all doing the same thing, so whoever wins is the strongest. But it's just someone watching when I go out and I bench or I'm doing my deadlift and I see what they're deadlifting. I'm like, I can kind of scale and be like, wow, that's crazy, right? I can.
Yeah.
I haven't loaded up a bunch of baskets full of gravel and then ran them across a driveway, so I have no context for this.
Done it with wheelbarrows.
Yeah, I've done it with a wheelbarrow. Loaded fucking 1,500.
I just like when it gets in their shoe and they have to take and they're like trying to dig it out of their shoe. It's just like throwing the basket on his head.
Wait, so in this event, are they just supposed to reach like a weight goal to load, or how does it work? I'm not really following.
See, this one was one that I didn't quite hear the beginning there a bit, but I think they were just meant to load 4 baskets and carry them, and they had to be full. The baskets had to be full. Is I think the only thing they had to do.
If there was a target weight, then they all hit it in 4 baskets. Or maybe they have to completely clear out their zone. Because there's that area
they fill it a lot.
See, this is so weird.
No, I think it's they don't have to load one at a time. They can load one and then move it, and then. So that's the difference that we're seeing. I think you do have to load all 4 baskets, and see that guy load all 4 of them. Now he's going to carry them up.
You would almost think you'd do better by supersetting it by loading carrying.
Listen to the announcers saying that his bag looked light.
It was.
So
They
wait.
definitely look a lot lighter than OD's.
So we'll
Oh,
see what
they
they do.
are.
Oh,
I feel like you could cheat it a little bit more too if you
I
just
think
scope a little
I
bit
think
more
they're going
gravel
for max
before you.
weight in 4
Yeah.
baskets.
It must be they have to clear out that area.
No, I think they're going for max weight. Like basically, whoever can load the most weight into 4 baskets and into the truck wins the event.
Maybe. Well, I'll go back later and rewatch the beginning, but it is.
But we'll see
That
how
just shows you how bad of an event it is if it's not clearly evident at what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, that barge
Here,
pool.
hold on. They said Adrian's failed to make the weight.
They
So
were
there was
weighing
some
the
minimum
cart.
weight,
So I think there's just a minimum weight you have to hit.
and that
that's all.
averages to 4 full baskets. If you do
Yes.
less than full, you don't make the weight.
So you have no idea until afterwards.
The only redeeming quality of actually, if you have a target weight you're going after, I don't know. This could be silly to see. Because a lot of this stuff I'd like to see in amateur competitions.
Yeah.
Or like smaller
this would be
pro-ams.
funny in an amateur competition.
Yeah, like I would not mind doing this. I just don't want to see it at Worlds or the Arnold. But this looks like it would be cool at like a regionals or something.
Just throw a strongman competition, but it's just you make them do yard work at a high pace.
Because strongman is just supposed to be who's generally the strongest, who can lift the biggest rock, like who can carry the biggest like bale of hay, which is the farmers carry. Like loading baskets and carrying them is a very primal thing that we've been doing for thousands of years.
One year. It was sandbag loading. They had like 50 sandbags they had to load onto a truck.
And they would just try to grab multiples.
No, it was one at a time. They were like 120 pounds each. Not heavy
50?
per, but really heavy for the whole thing.
Oh, I think I remember that. Weren't there like 12 or 15 sandbags, something like that?
There were a lot. I remember there were a lot. Like it went on for it was like a 5-minute sprint that
Wasn't
they had
that
to do back and forth.
was that the one with Jeff Capes in it? Was that the year that
Yeah.
he won? That was the year he won his
I
first
think
World's
it was,
Strongest
yeah.
Man. That was the last event.
I think nothing in strongman should be more than like 180 seconds.
Yeah.
And that should only be one event. And then every other event should be around 90 to 30 seconds.
I think 5 minutes for like a trial by stone kind of event or like a strategic
That's way
dumbbell
too.
kind of event.
So give it 180
trial by
seconds
stone,
for trial by stone. 90 seconds for a good stone series or medley, and 30 seconds for any other sort of style like a heavy lift, like a heavy yoke carry. Because otherwise, you're starting to get into CrossFit a little bit there. So, this was ODs to win.
Yep.
Yep.
This does seem to have less brakes and it actually moves reasonably fast.
Oh, it does. I love the old World's Strongest Man.
So, has any one of these events been viable in today's? I don't think so.
The log one.
No.
The log pull. The log raft pull.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, well.
Sorry
That's
about that.
different.
I'm back.
Do we lose the video?
Yeah, he'll shoot back in a second. So, Jean-Paul, let's see how this goes. Oh, there we go. Now we're in the now we're good.
$110 kilos. Did you see how he walked that out?
Yeah, he walked it forward and threw it in the gravel. That's
I
cool.
love these old stone series because there's always one that's not as heavy. It's like only 5 pounds heavier, but it's way harder than all the others.
It's very unbalanced and awkward.
Mm-hmm.
That one looks pretty unbalanced right there.
I think he just smacked himself in the chin with it.
I have done that a lot in the last week trying to do natural stone pressing. I've hit my head. Doing stone to shoulder, you smack your head a lot. I like how they're in a cave. Like, the atmosphere is cool on this.
I love the cave.
It's very aesthetic.
It really is. I mean,
go. That's so
kilos.
that hurts so bad on your shoulder.
Uh-huh.
I just got into natural stone pressing and doing some of the shoulder, and I didn't think it was going to be that brutal. But until you build up, like, I don't know, numb your nerves or something in your shoulder.
I want to see. I want to see if anybody uses the head balance technique.
That's a horrible stone. Look how wide it is. That's
Look how awkward and uneven he has to hold it.
Look how his facial expression explained exactly how awkward and uneven that stone was.
Mm-hmm.
See,
I like a beast.
I like this. I like this particular.
This one's good. I like.
I like the atmosphere of how they set it up too.
Yeah, in like a cave type thing.
Yep. So stone to overhead or stone to shoulder?
Yep. I told you.
That hurt. I know that hurt.
Balance.
That head balance hurts so bad because I did that the other day, and I rested just like a 126-pound stone on my head, and that hurt real fast.
Look at his hair, though. I mean, it's a big cushion there.
Let's see it. So far, these stones have been really long and not because that's what you normally want. Like a river stone that's nice and round, and it's sort of like those, though.
Well, actually,
so much harder to press.
Bigger stones are easier to press.
Seems like the balance on the edges. Yeah, these tombstone shaped ones.
That was easy for him, though.
Because I can also kind of roll mine up my body a little bit. I can't roll a giant square. Square's no roll.
Jagged edged stone up your body.
That one's really important to lap properly.
Oh yeah. Because
I love watching the super strong looking guys moving the implements, like of them moving the implements for the strongmen.
Yep.
That was my favorite thing about strongmen. Like,
so that's 125. That weighs the same, or is that kilos?
I'm thinking that's
gotta be kilos.
It's got to be kilos.
Look how that looks about a little bit smaller, but it's so much harder for him.
Yeah, I was like, because that looks about twice as big as the stone I have behind me, and that's 125 pounds.
Yours looks a bit off balance.
Mine's horribly off balance. Oh, that hurts.
Drop that.
That hurts.
He dropped that onto his head.
No, just get it off your head.
He doesn't even care. Look at those
eyes.
Look
at it.
Oh my god. Oh no. Oh man.
I bet they all struggle with this one except one.
That's one event I definitely don't want to.
I did some stone pressing today. It was actually pretty fun. I might go out there later and do some.
Like I just got into it as well, and I had to rest on my head a couple times. Like I'm quickly learning it where you do not let off pressure because you feel like you have it, and then you let off a little too much weight to readjust.
Oh, that was a great pick. Look at that too. Ooh. That was a great technique.
And then to head.
And then he readjusts his grip.
Nope, drop it on your head.
Look how much harder it is for them.
Nope, get it off your.
It's just if he brought his elbows in together, he'd probably be able to.
They're also not squatting down that much. No,
they really are.
Good effort.
There you go. That was a good one.
Give him the flag. White flag. Did
you see how much harder that was than the 5 kilos less? Like the shape of the stone makes a really big difference in these ones.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Have you ever pressed natural stones, Danny?
Oh God. I've just done some Atlas stones with some decent weight, like 150 pounds, but never any stone pressing, unfortunately.
It's fun. Just find some stones and press them. It's fun.
I'll go to my local park and try it.
Yeah, when they have to roll it up their chest like that, it's all on one narrow edge. Look at how sharp the edge of that stone is. All the weight was on that edge on his collarbone, went for the roll up, and now it's on his nose. Now look at that edge. Digging into him.
They didn't
280 pounds are digging into him right now in 4 spots.
He was fuck that.
This is a horrible, a cheers to stone for this one reason, is this is so horribly painful and hard, and I think unless you press stones, you don't realize the suffering they're going through on those jagged edges.
I love it. I like this. I think this is so much fun to watch. Some of this older strongman stuff. Just because of how used to the newer style implements. Everything like these are not design stones. These are people found these heavy ass stones and we're like
in a quarry. These are all just cut out of the cave.
and then it's like, yeah, we'll just press them. Now you got like Rogue and all those guys. No, we're gonna custom make you a natural stone. We're gonna build you a natural stone.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, I love that.
Well, the reason there's a good reason for that though, because if they custom build the natural stone, then they can tell other people the dimensions, and other people can have the exact same stone built. So if you want to have a standardized stone that anyone in the world can train with, you can't just grab a natural. Stone. Yeah. Well, if you want natural shape opposed to a circular one, you just got to specify the dimensions. And then Thor can have one, Brian can have one. And here's the
top guys can.
Yeah, because you only care about your top 10 or so guys. At the end of the day, if they can train with the exact implement, then they can lift it heavier than if they couldn't train with it. And everyone wants to see him lift heavier, so.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, all 4 of us could go and get natural stones that look very similar to that.
Oh yeah, there's no reason you can't, but I do like the competition one being a defined thing. Also, it makes apples to apples comparisons good later, because let's say someone they use it way later, do the same one, and like, oh, that guy pressed it 3 times.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna use them again like that.
No.
Well, you got a couple. You got like the big 4 stones.
I think they'll use the seer dumbbells again. I think they made those for a reason.
Well, you'll see the Denny stones and Denny stone replicas.
Oh,
like a bunch of stones like that.
I do like front holds. This is good.
Oh yeah, this is good. When was the last time they did this?
I don't know. They do it. They don't do it at national contests, but they do it at local ones.
It's a lot of
my local strongman contest did a beer mug hold with sand in it.
Oh, how'd that go?
Pretty well. Yeah, I think one guy lasted like a minute and a half.
Yeah, because
they do front holds and like a Britain's Strongest Man?
Yeah,
I remember Eddie Hall doing it.
Yeah, he did a hammer hold and lost it. But Eddie's grip has never really been great or good.
Well, I mean, it's been great, but there's like 10 or there's like not compared to the other top 10 strongest people.
No, there was like 1 or 2 years where Eddie had decent grip, and then he just lost it after that.
Well, when you compare his grip to like someone like Brian, it's not even close.
No, and Martins.
Well, like I saw Eddie after he cut couldn't even lift the inch dumbbell, and I know a lot of people who can do that are not nearly as strong as Eddie.
No, that is brutal. I haven't actually ever tried this, but I gotta imagine the pain.
Oh,
like,
it sucks.
Feeling your forearms.
Oh,
I hate front holds.
This seems to me more mental than physical.
No, it's both.
It's both. It's like the Hercules hold, though. It's very similar to that.
Because it's how deep can you dig before you just like give up
Die.
the ghost? Yeah.
It's that front holds. They hurt.
And the worst thing about doing kind of holds is it doesn't hurt. It hurts worse when you let go. It's that next like 3 or 4 seconds that makes your arms like they're on fire. So notice that a lot with the axles. Like it's not that bad, and then you let go, and then like your arm's on fire.
For these ones, it's always my body's mental like battle against me. My body's always like, just set it down. It's not that like there's no reason to hold it.
Yeah, to me, I've experimented with front holds and stuff like that. We used to compete with each other here when we were younger. We could hold certain things out longer, and to me, it was always just the fire you feel like in your shoulders, that burning sensation, man. I just, oh, it hurts.
Mm-hmm. So OD Wilson winning virtually every event.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the last event?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a track to run around. And World's Strongest Man.
Oh.
Oh wait, no, it's just a loading medley first, I guess.
Yep.
I do like anvils.
Oh, me too. I love watching people lift anvils. Those are fun. One of my favorite things, Juji was doing a grip video, and they were like, gripsters be like, oh, you got to lift the anvil by like this part, and that's actually the anvil lift. It's the hardest part of the anvil, and that's what you're supposed to lift it by in grip. Gripsters really do lift it by the hardest thing possible for no reason.
I would not mind every once in a while swapping out the Atlas stone loading for an anvil load.
You can't get rid of Atlas stones.
If you had a loading medley and you have an anvil or two in there, that'd be fun. I like the safe one that they did.
No, you could totally do this in World still. You wouldn't in the Arnold because the Arnold's more like lugs, like Atlas, like rigid. But in Arnold, like every couple of years, you could do it. And it wouldn't really matter.
No, just throw Rogue on there. They can make anvils.
And then you could see some ridiculous anvils. You would see like a 300-pound anvil.
Like, I would like to see how heavy anvils they can do now.
And because it's Rogue, they're gonna probably make them like not as dense, so you would have like some freakishly large, like it'd be cool to watch every once in a while.
It'd be interesting to have like a loadable anvil.
You could. Yeah. And what do you mean that hard? Because you just basically have the base hollowed out where you just put plates.
The shield is a lot like an anvil, and that's like as far as how you pick it up, it's a lot of that because they're kind of.
But the shield, it still doesn't have that perfect pocket that rests on your arms.
Yeah.
Whereas it allows you to do a lot of weight.
Well, in anvil, I like anvils because they are so dense, and the weight is so concentrated.
Oh yeah.
OD.
I saw a post on Instagram. Somebody's like, you can't deadlift over 500 pounds unless you do steroids. I was like, okay.
You know, I actually thought that before I started training strength. Like, I'll tell you, like 3.5, 4 years ago, if you would have asked me that, I would have been like, yes. And then now I'm like, I think that number's more like 850 pounds.
Yeah, depends on the person, and that's the thing about deadlifting and any of the power lifts. It's a lot of anthropometry.
Because like, I've been training reasonably hard, but I could have trained harder than I've been training, and I feel like I'll hit my 500-pound double overhand like unequipped, probably within the next 8-9 months. So
they did a survey
and people are naturally better than me and probably have been working harder than me. So there's no way they couldn't hit 750, 800.
I believe that. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I know of a few people who can deadlift just crazy numbers right off the bat. But there's also our training regimen and our training methodologies have accelerated and gotten so much better.
Yeah. Well, everything has across the board. The food's like the nutrition is.
Well, there's also more
insanely
people
better
weight training now than have ever before.
So
what I was gonna say is they did a study about people who have been weight training.
Mm-hmm.
Average deadlift for a male in my weight category after 2 years of consistent weight training was 500-ish pounds. Of 2 years of consistently actually trying to train deadlifts.
2 years, 500 pounds is doable.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Especially if you're decently, if you're
anything above 90 kilos, I would say. 90 kilos.
If you're under 6 feet tall, deadlifting 500 pounds is really fucking hard, actually. If you're under 6 feet tall and under 200 pounds, it's going to be really fucking hard.
Because I I got a friend that's 170, and he started working out when I started. He's mainly been doing powerlifting more than like training the strongman stuff. He just pulled I think he just got his 405. So like I easily can see him getting to 500, and that would put him at probably within like 3.5 years, and he only kind of casually does it. So yeah, 500 is very reachable. It's realistic, attainable.
I think it definitely depends on the person's
It does, yeah.
levers. Because
it also depends
right
on
now,
your training background as well before you started weight training.
And age, sorry. Because I'm also going to say in your early to mid 30s, because there is a massive strength gain. Like, old man strength is real, and it kicks in when you hit 30.
But look, 5.5 points he's ahead. That's a fucking solid win in modern day strongman. Like that's lifting 3
That's
stones.
almost a Thor lead. Thor's disgusting.
Don't they have like one more event too? Like unless Odie fucks up here, there's nothing to stop him.
That's actually kind of a cool implement.
200 meters is a long run for strongman.
Isn't there an official 200-meter dash? Isn't that like one of the Olympic events?
Yeah, that used to be one of my specialty. It was discus and 200-meter dash. Those were my 2 track and field events.
200-meter dash should not be in a competition.
Not with weights. Like there's no reason for a 200-meter dash with that much weight. Like,
let's go 90 feet.
Well, I would say like 50 feet.
90 feet, 30 yards.
Do you think this is a little bit dangerous for
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
one of the
I'd be worried to shit doing this.
One of the really early world's strongest men, Franco.
That's
Colombo,
not enough weight. It's so. The thing is, the weight isn't that bad.
How much did they say
wouldn't be running that much faster than that?
I don't think OD runs much faster than that. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, this isn't that much. I'm pretty sure, but probably like, I'm not gonna say like, but I feel like we could finish this. Not in this time frame, but I feel like this isn't an inhuman thing to carry that around the.
No, like to run like that probably, but to like just carry that around a 200-meter track.
And to these guys, it's probably insignificant. Like, it's just how fast can they run it. Yeah. Sorry, Odie. He didn't know sprinting would be on the exam. Somebody.
And that's not even that bad of a time. Like, it did it in like under 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Doing the He-Man pose. So, all he had to do was not finish dead last, basically, to get first place.
And I don't think he did, though.
No, I don't. I think he had to finish like above, and I don't think he did.
He was 5 points ahead, right?
So
he had to finish 6th place or above. So 6th place or above to win the competition.
And John Paul would not have to also not get.
And John Paul had to get first, and he would have to not get first, and he would just have to get in the top 6.
Yep.
I can't remember where he ends up finishing in that race, Odie.
We'll find out right now, I think.
The breathing. Yeah, you'd be breathing so hard though.
My God. I'm getting warm watching this.
Yeah, he should have world's strongest man.
I mean, there were more than one moving event, and Odie did well in the other moving events too. Like,
I just would have loved to seen someone explain to him that he's about to have to run 200 meters as fast as he can. I would not want to be the guy that delivered Odie that message. You can tell me I just lifted a boat with a spine. You're gonna make him run 200 meters.
The other thing is that back then this was only by half a point. Half a point.
Yep. It didn't give
I
us
love
the
how
final.
third place was 9 points behind. So
Yeah.
really shows how much stronger Sigmason and Wilson.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They were.
They were on a completely different level compared to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was not.
You're seeing that a lot with Brian and Big Z for a while. It would just be the next person was like 9-10 points away.
Yeah.
Only for like 1 or 2 years, though. As soon as Thor showed up, he was pushing them every single year. The year Thor showed up, he was pushing them in every event.
Yeah, no, Thor got real scary real fast. He went from like no one to just like
I
boom.
think his first World's Strongest Man, he placed like third.
Yeah,
Ah,
kind of reminds
That
of
was really interesting, but yeah, I can see why. Brian Shaw actually has said before that Odie Wilson is one of the few people who should have won World's Strongest Man who didn't.
but got
Another
robbed.
one of those people is Derek Poundstone. He didn't get robbed, but I think Derek Poundstone should have won World's Strongest Man 1 year.
See, I was actually, because of when we talked about this episode, I actually went back through and looked at some of these different World's Strongest Man. Poundstone's a monster. The problem was like he was inadequate in some of the events, and he was really solid, but he wasn't ever really that top.
He never
Strongest
improved his weaknesses enough. Partially because he never quit his day job. He never quit being a police officer. Even now, he's still a police officer.
Sort of like Ronnie Coleman. I always blew my mind that there were people who got like arrested by Ronnie Coleman, not like pre-Olympia, but third Olympian winning Ronnie Coleman at his peak.
Could you imagine
like,
that?
Pulling you over.
Imagine the people who just didn't know who he was, just seeing this big ass fucking police officer.
You're just looking at him and being like, I really don't know how those.
I really don't.
The biggest police officer, the biggest buffest dude you have ever seen, literally on the planet, the buffest dude on the planet, and that's the guy that's arrested you.
Like, you've had a bad day, you're kind of
knocking on your window.
And then you look over and you see that knocking on your window, you're like, oh god, I hope he's not hungry.
Oh fuck yeah! What the hell was? He said, I like being a police officer because they let me wear shorts. Some of Ronnie Coleman's, I still to this day. I mean, I'm not bodybuilder at all, but I just love Ronnie Coleman. Like
I gotta admit, I'm a little bit of a bodybuilder. I love all.
Love Ronnie Coleman. Yeah, buddy.
God. And if you ask what his biggest regret in life is, it's not squatting 800 pounds for 3.
Yeah,
probably.
Because he squatted it for 1 and re-racked it, and he felt like he had 2 more in him, and that's his biggest regret is when he peaked on that squat to not squat it 3 more times or 2 more times.
Because he said I could do 3 reps with that, and everybody was like, "No, you couldn't."
We'll never know who was right.
Well, he also wanted to be like hands down the world's strongest bodybuilder as well. For a little while there.
Yeah.
Which he definitely is close. I would argue Terry Holland because he competed in bodybuilding.
But Terry Holland's close. Because
if you do pro bodybuilding,
similar. Because Terry Holland, actually no, because Terry Holland had about the same amount of success Ronnie Coleman had in strength.
Yeah, 9 World Strongest Man finals, best being 3rd place. That's pretty fucking good.
So that's pretty okay there. And then Ronnie Coleman, best all-time bodybuilder. And then Ronnie Coleman, strength PRs at the gym. Terry Holland's doing 1 bodybuilding competition for fun. They sort of both dabbled into each other's worlds about the same amount.
A little bit, yeah. Well, Ronnie did have to do more strength training than Terry Holland's had to do bodybuilding.
And sort of, from what Ronnie said, that's part of his success because his how he, by doing lower reps and really high weight all the time, he kind of built his muscle mass off of those deep tissue tears than a lot of the surface tears you get, like from some of the people today who are doing like the massive sets, and it kind of shaped his body differently.
Powerlifting. He bulked up with more of a powerlifting mindset, and then would cut whereas a lot of the other athletes at the time would try and bowl really cleanly and wouldn't actually get as bulked.
If you look at someone like Ronnie Coleman, like squatting 800 pounds and going through for a 1-rep max or hitting it for 3 was sort of his thing. That's how he built himself. And you look at someone like Jake Cutler, who would never imagine doing a 50% of his 1-rep max.
Rich Piana, he was a big motherfucker, and I like Rich Piana. He's fucking hilarious.
But you can see the difference in the muscle structure if you do by how you build it. And Ronnie had a very unique look because of the training like a power lifter.
Well, I think Ronnie was better at cutting. I think that's why he won so much, because Ronnie was better at cutting than a lot of the other powerlifters, or not the powerlifters, a lot of the other bodybuilders at the time in the open weight class, because Olympia is in the open class.
I just hope someday someone gets interviewed about being arrested by Ronnie Coleman.
That would be fucking
hilarious. I want to hear a story about
documentary
about it.
Smoking some crack behind a dumpster, and this giant man walked out.
Imagine if you're a fan of bodybuilding and that's the guy who comes to arrest you.
Oh, yeah, you'd be
I think the only thing worse is being arrested by Steven Seagal in Louisiana, because that's still a thing.
Well, yeah, he might sexually assault you.
Steven Seagal has been an active police officer for the last 30 years or something.
No, not active.
Or he's maintained his badge and stuff.
Yes,
and,
he has.
He does stints in Louisiana, and you could actually just get pulled over, arrested by Steven Seagal.
No,
that's the thing that has happened to people.
He used to do that 20 years ago.
Jeez.
No, I have a severe dislike of Steven Seagal. So
because of how everything he's ever said. Oh no,
he's an actor. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Steven Seagal's an actor, and he was a decent martial artist at one point.
So I guess to bring it...
Keto master?
He was actually. He was a black belt in Hapkido. But he started going off on his own martial arts thing and then created his own martial art defense system that was movie.
So to bring it back, which of those competitions could you see at a Arnold or Worlds, or which ones could you maybe see an amateur? Which ones could you where you're like, yeah, that's dumb, never touch that?
Well, the stone lifts, we still do that in all plays.
I'll give the stone lift is the highest no, I kind of actually stone lift is the highest, but I really also like the anvil lift. I'd love to see that come back. Just do it once every 5 years.
Loading medley, yeah. I mean, that was just a loading medley. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe you could even do that one at the Arnold with some really polished, nice looking.
There wasn't even any static strength events this year, really, besides the Viking ship lift. That was the only standing strength in the front hold. That's not static.
Because we started off with the log pull. That one just had too many variables. I don't like it because it's really hard to get consistent between one athlete to another.
You could do a boat pull, and I think you could have the water resistance provide some decent tension and have some good weight behind it, and pull a decently sized boat. To be honest, because if you ever pulled a boat, it's kind of hard to get started. But you can pull some heavy motherfucking boats pretty easily.
Maybe a boat pull, but not you also sitting on the boat, pulling another floaty object.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
Let's cut some of the variables in half here. So I could see them pulling a boat towards the thing.
Yeah, towards
I just don't know how they stop it.
Well, they used to do the boat pull up the ramp. That they did that before, because Jeff Kazma and those guys, the 70s.
Well, yeah,
I think we should bring back that event, because that event was. I mean, it looks really good too. I really like
the boat pull.
That one worked really well because they built a platform on the ground, and the boat just came onto a boat holder, like a boat.
That would be a good one, because we've done a lot of truck pulls, train pulls. Go back
plane
to a boat
pulls. I got to admit, the plane pull does look so fucking good.
Yeah,
I cannot lie. The Hercules plane pull.
And then the next event was the second event was onto the truck pull, right?
Yeah. Yep. They went right from the logs to truck pull with a harness, rope.
Almost every single World's Strongest Man does a truck pull. Every single one.
Now, without using the rope was interesting, but I think I prefer the rope, so I'm glad
they do that up until the 90s, switching it up a little bit. One of my favorite ones, they do railroad tracks, like a ladder over a railroad track, and they have a bunch of them bolted down. One year, the Big Z was going so fast, he grabbed one past where he was supposed to stop and ripped it up and actually hurt himself because he smacked himself in the face with it. Because he went to go pull himself on the ladder and he ripped it up out of the floor and pulled it up on himself as he was trying to pull a train.
That's big. That's all the force of Big Z smacking himself.
Yeah,
That's a lot of.
And that was young Big Z. Like that was young Big Z. He was a monster even when he first started competing. Like.
And then the third event was that that was the ship.
Yep, that was the ship.
I'm just happy never seeing the ship ever again. Like, not in that way. Let's not do bent back spine lifting.
Well, Nick Best has the hip lift, and he dislocated a fucking disc doing that before.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the ones where it's like everything on your body and really lifting it like 3 inches in an awkward way where the weight's on your spine.
I don't like lifts that actually isolate other things. Like that's the whole thing about those. They actually isolate parts of your body. They're not compound lifts. That's why we like the deadlift, the log press, squat, because they're compound lifts.
The closest I would ever see to that is a super yoke. That's the closest I want to see to that.
Yeah, I think super yoke.
It's a super yoke lift, maybe where they don't have to move; they just have to break ground. That would be the closest. But then they have so much room and positioning to get it in a way where they're safe and comfortable with it.
I think we need a big.
And you could actually change the height on a super yoke.
Yeah.
I think we need an event with a heavy yoke again soon.
Yeah, there hasn't been some ridiculous yokes in a while. Maybe do just a break ground on a yoke lift, or that would be maybe too dangerous.
Well, they had the super heavy yoke medley at the qualifier, but it was a qualifier.
That's the thing. It was the qualifiers. I would have rather had it in the actual finals.
Yeah. Especially that yoke medley. I really liked it, especially how heavy that last yoke was. I think
wasn't it
one
like,
person got it, and I think it was only Rob was the only person who actually fucking got it all the way.
Dude, Rob,
like 600 pounds, or was it 13? I honestly
1300.
So
I think it was
1300.
so.
Rob announced that he's not training for like the next 2 or 3 weeks. He's just taking this time off completely as just like a recovery.
That's good. I mean, I think that's what people are doing.
His reasoning was that he works in the healthcare industry, and then him going to a gym or with other people, and then he just, as from like a healthcare perspective, he didn't think it was the right thing to do. So just as an example, he's just gonna like quarantine to kind of like show other people. But he just came out with the video like yesterday. But that's interesting. I didn't expect to see Rob taking 3 weeks off because he didn't even take a day. He doesn't even take deload days in years.
He doesn't. One thing
he goes heavy like 2 days before competition.
One thing I was gonna say is for the older World's Strongest Man, for like pre-1993 or 4, some of the lifts, like the Viking chip lift, that was actually a world record held by one of the competitors. The guy who won that event actually held a world record in that kind of lift. They did that a lot for some of these older strongman contests, especially when you have people like John Paul Sigmarsson or Bill Kazmaier, who are overall strength athletes who can do a lot of the different events.
And
they'd have one event that they knew one. Yeah, they'd have one event where they knew one guy would do super well, and the other guys, they didn't really know how they would do it. Something that they'd never done before.
And then
the year Jeff Capes won, they had a Highland Games throw. Jeff Capes had all the world records for Highland Games stuff the year they did that.
Yeah.
And then next event, the loading gravel.
I enjoyed. I enjoyed the old tournament. That was like the one.
I like the weight requirement and how one guy didn't make the weight because he didn't load his bags up enough. I like that. I like how they didn't have an instant feedback. You kind of had to guess.
I do like some of these weirder ones, but I like them in amateur. Like I would love to do that in my local strongman competition, but I don't know if I really see like a big tile decided on it. But I wouldn't mind. Like that'd be interesting, but I don't want to see anything serious decided on that event.
No.
I have done manual labor enough in my life that I don't need to load gravel into a basket and carry it. Literally, I owe my strength to the fact that I used to have to do that a lot in how I grew up. So I'm like,
so you just have a clear advantage in that event. You should love it.
I've done it. It's not even an advantage. It's such a disdain.
You're like, you know what? I don't even want to do this. Y'all can fun. Y'all can load the bag. I'm gonna sit this one out.
Yeah, and that's kind of. I mean, I would obviously because I'm a competitor, but I'd be like, ew. I remember this being punishment for me.
Yeah, that one.
I don't want to try my hardest at this shit. Like
that one at a amateur local competition, I think it'd be interesting and fun to watch. But I don't want to see anything serious decided on that event. But what was the next one? Was the next one the anvils? Or do we have one between the gravel and the anvils?
I think there was one between
the stones. That wasn't that the overhead press? Stone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pressing the stones. Yeah.
No, there were like 7 events.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the overhead press. I love the natural stone overhead presses. Not just because of the recent hype we here at Embrace the Weight Strength and Numbers podcast have built around natural stones, but because just in general, I like natural stones. I think pressing them is
hilarious that right now everybody's doing natural stones because we can't go to the gym.
But yeah.
Someone says it in our Discord where they had a friend who wasn't really big into strongman, and then he was telling them about how about lifting stones. He thought that was really weird. He's like, "Well, what do you think's going on right now during the quarantine?" And he's like,
yeah.
"They're all lifting stones, aren't they?" He's like, "Yeah, they're all lifting stones."
That's exactly right. Because it's heavy weight, and anyone can find stones. I mean, you were out throwing disc today, right?
Yeah, I just saw some stones. I was like, hey, I'm gonna go see if I can lift.
And Danny, you said you're gonna go check out a local park.
Yeah, I'll see what
go pick up some freaking stones.
Or even go to a construction site, any active construction site, because the infrastructure hasn't been canceled. They're gonna have well, I mean, if it's new construction where they're tearing up the ground, there's gonna be giant rocks in there. Just grab a couple at a certain weight, and then you're good to go. Now, explaining why you came home with like 3 giant rocks is a little bit harder, but you can find a spot for them.
Is that one behind you, by the way? Is that a giant?
Yeah. That's a 126 pound. That's what I've been using. That's the one I've been.
I can't tell how big it is from this distance.
That's a 45-pound plate underneath it.
Oh, okay. So that's fairly big. Okay.
Yeah. So underneath it's a 45-pound.
I love that you have it on a 45-pound plate. So when people are like, "It's not that big," that's a 45-pound plate. Everyone can relate to that.
Protect the people underneath, but yeah, I like it.
No, I did that just to raise the height up to 40 inches.
Oh, okay, nice.
But
just love that in your room.
Yeah, every time
that's what you're talking about. The stone you load into your room. That's pretty.
Every time I enter or leave here, I do. I drop it on the ground. I load it up. It's just like I like taking that one thing out of the gym and putting it in my day-to-day life, and just getting in like quality reps, where I can just like fill it out and learn it. It just seems to help. But
that would be fun. I don't know that everyone would let me have like a squat rack up here and just bang out 5 squats and then okay.
Like it's really funny too because when you're with people like and you're hanging out with friends and they're like, all right, let's go, and you're like, all right, wait a second, and then you go and you do your reps. Mm-hmm. Like I remember like we would go somewhere when I had the log set up. I'd be like, all right, let's go, and then I'd like stop the door, do my 10 presses, and then leave. Then we come back in. I go right to the log, do the 10 presses before doing whatever.
I mean, hey, it builds you, man. I mean. How much is your log? What's your max log overhead?
I actually haven't gone for 1 rep max in a while, but I'm feeling.
What do you rep? What do you rep out?
But my last 1 rep max was 90 plus 90, so 180. So next time I'm hoping when I go back to it, I'm hoping to hit around 210, and eventually I want to get up to 225 because I like that number. It's. Okay. But I feel like I could probably hit a 200 if I was like pressed right now to go for it. Maybe.
Nice. I bet you could.
Because 45 plus 45, I've done it with 2 45s, which is 180. Maybe. I don't know. I just know I've gotten 180. I feel like I'm stronger now though. Then
for a couple.
My log weighs 90, and then I put 2 45-pound plates.
Okay. Which log do you have?
Titan 12-inch.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yep. I think you can get 225. I mean,
yeah.
I just don't like the claim numbers I haven't gotten.
My max current log is like 142, but I know I can get better.
I only have 4 45-pound plates, so I can press 180, or I can press 270.
Well, then just go for the 270, man.
Yeah, just press 270.
Just try it.
Just throw it on there.
Just load half of it and practice uneven loading. You'll be all right.
Just clean it. Just clean it up to your chest. Have someone snap that picture and be like, "Yo, I got it. I pressed it."
No, you clean it up to your chest. You put it in a rack, and then you show yourself fully extended, but you don't show the edge of it.
Yeah. So in classic strongman, a lot of the events weren't strength. It was just bone pressure. So what they would do is they would have the curtain closed and they would like plank up completely and put a big weight on them. And then the curtains would open and they're holding this big weight. And then like they would set it down on a platform, but they never lifted it. They just got in lockout position. It was lowered onto them.
Well, there you go. Just do that.
I was actually really impressed. I have we were doing yoke walks over where basically you hold the yoke overhead and you walk across your gym. I was able to actually press the yoke above my head, which I was really surprised. I didn't think I could, but my max log is only like 140 right now. Just because I haven't actually tried maxing in a while.
But so stones are great. Their stones were interesting. I don't hate their stones. It's just painful to be them because that corner edge, 200 something pounds. Yeah, that's gonna hurt. But it's not gonna do any big damage. It's just gonna test your will. And then after that was when we got to what?
Was that then? It's day 2 or day 3, whatever they said, and I think that was anvils, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which I love.
Stone to anvil. Oh no, we skipped the hold. So they did the stone. After the stones was the hold, and then the next day
anvils.
The hold. Yep.
They did the anvils.
And then it was anvils, and then it was the race that caused Odie, the strongest man in the world in 1990, to not win the strongest man in the world title.
The hold I feel like I'm fine with the Hercules hold.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily see like the double overhand hold forward thing. If we're gonna, I don't know, because they're testing something different. This is just how long can you stiff arm versus how long can you hold your grip. But I feel like how long you can hold your grip is more applicable.
Well, they still do. They do this shoulders,
yeah.
Like
Justin, I implore you, go grab that 45-pound weight. Grab one of your plates. Back. Stiff back against something, and then hold it there. And
I have another one for you guys to try.
Oh no, I believe it's brutal. I was just saying that in strongman, when you're doing stuff, you're not walking around all the time holding your arms stiff unless.
No, but you do have to squeeze stuff a lot. You do have to squeeze your pecs a lot, and you do have to hold things out in front of you sometimes.
And it's a stamina thing, really.
So would you every once in a while swap out the Hercules hold for that event, or would you do you see it?
Yeah.
So you would just do it
I think that one
3 to 4 years,
right on par with the Hercules hold.
So you basically do 2 years of Hercules hold and then 1 year of arm extension, then 2 years.
No, I would do a different grip instead of the Hercules hold 1 year. I wouldn't do the Hercules hold 2 years in a row. They would do 1 year Hercules, 1 year different event, 1 year the front hold.
So you would rotate with 3 events, 3 separate
3 events,
events, okay.
Or 4, honestly, because those events are okay, but they're not an event that everybody wants to do every year.
Yeah,
I think if you're gonna.
Well, also what
would your third grip event? What would your event be that isn't Hercules hold or front hold?
If
we're doing
farmer's
3
carry for distance. Farmer's carry.
Farmer's carry is for distance.
Anything that involves grip, because with farmer's carry you could do it for distance, for time.
I like for distance. If we're gonna make it a grip event, let's make it super heavy. Let's go for distance. Let's set the fill to about 50 feet, and let's expect the winner to get like 40 feet.
Okay, so then we're going with. All right, well then I can agree with you, Matt, on that, because I was like, what else do you put in there? But really, that's controlling grip in a totally different way than the Hercules hold. You're holding it.
It's a static grip. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, whereas that when you're moving, and we've talked about that in depth before, you make that turn, buddy. That turn is where things just go.
I'd go no turn straight. Expect everyone to lose before 40 feet, because I want to see them hold something really heavy and go a very short distance, and it'd be a grip event.
In grippers, there's another gripper.
There could also be like timber carries. Timber carries are also.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, timber carries. Okay. All right,
There's
then.
another grip event called a silver bullet hold.
That could be interesting.
This is just a static hold type grip event. It's just one of the different types of grip that there is.
So like you're lifting a weight,
distinct
you're
grip
clamping
types.
it on something, and then if you let up, it falls on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's how long can you hold that thing?
Hold the over squeeze.
Yeah.
You're not holding the position, holding the over squeeze, the extra hold. Also, that pops out my forearm like crazy.
I think I've had too many carbs. Damn. Oh, no, I got some.
yeah, not bad. It's because I shaved my forearm, so I can actually see the hair.
I have hair on mine.
So you can't see my forearm definition if there's.
I love the anvil for this reason is if Tom Staltman can get a 600-pound, 700-pound. Well, he got a 600-pound stone. He says he's going to do 700. What anvil could he load?
Oh, I don't know.
50?
I don't remember Staltman ever saying he could do a 700. Brian Shaw said he could do a 700.
No, I think he said.
Eddie Hall asked him 700. Tom was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right after the lift, he's like, Eddie Hall's like, hey, do you 700?
Tom, nothing about Tom's 600-pound stone made me doubt that he'd get a 700-pound stone.
He did load it unevenly. He did favor one side over the other, but I think that's just the size of the stone more than it was his actual strength.
And if he could carry an anvil, which is way easier to hold on to, it'd be interesting to see what is the because we might be able to do an anvil series where the highest anvil is like 800 pounds. I don't know. Be interesting to see where that goes.
I don't know.
Well, how much is the anvil
such a low pick.
World's Strongest Man now?
They have a good one. 275. That's the anvil that they have at World's Strongest Man. It's 275. Yep.
That's the one they
for
had
the loading medley.
2019, right? With the medley.
Well, they had it 2019 and 2018 because Martine's.
In 2018. Oh,
no, 2018 they had the safe.
And that's carried. That's not just like lift up and load on a platform.
In 2018 they had loading medley, but they had the safe as the last.
I thought they had an anvil.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I think the anvil was the next year. I think they might have had an anvil as well, but I just remember safe more than anything else because the safe was like
caused all kinds of issues.
2018, that loading medley was like it had like 5 really good implements.
It was brutal, but it was good. It was really, really good to see how brutal it was.
And then, how would you fix the last event? I guess we'll wrap up with that.
You don't do that. Don't do.
Is there any conceivable way to take any?
If you do any event in Strongman for distance, it has to be farmers. That's the only or yoke.
I was gonna say yoke. How you change that is you do a yoke. How far can a yoke?
Okay, a 1,000-pound yoke for 200 meters would be really interesting.
I don't think you go over. I think anything you do with that style, you have to cut off at 90 feet.
Husafell stone. Thor's Husafell is actually around like 200 feet for his max Husafell carry.
So okay,
200 feet would be 100. So that would be like 80 meters.
80-ish meters. Yeah.
And they went 200 meters.
Yeah, they went 200 meters with something on their back, kind of like a backpack carry. It was. Well, the whole thing was that Odie Wilson probably weighs as much as John Paul with that weight on his back. Odie Wilson's body weight is as much as John Paul with weight on his back.
I think you got it. I think the Husafell stone for distance in a straight line would be the closest thing I'd ever want to see to that.
Well, it could be around a track too. If you
had a kind of a light farmers, that would be interesting to see. For
I wouldn't want to see
farmers around a track. There you go.
No. The only reason I would see it is because the Husafell stone has like prestige to it, and it's a known strongman implement. Like, unless you're doing that particular stone, I'd want to see it heavier. Oh no, I like farmers, but I want to see it heavier and much shorter distance. I'm saying that's the lightest implement that would go the farthest that I would see acceptable.
If you do a
anything
stone
else
carry,
would be heavier and not as far.
Yeah, if you do a stone carry, you can't be lighter than the Husafell, so I do kind of get your point there.
Yeah, so that would be the lightest of any implement I would see for distance is the Husafell. Because anything else, I feel like 90 feet. 90 feet's a good distance to race to. Around 40 feet is a good distance to expect people to fell if they're doing something heavy. I just feel like anything else is just it's just out of strongman. It's about going really hard for 30 to 90 seconds.
Yeah, but you also like I don't know. We've had strongman like certain events that were way longer than 3 minutes, just because of rest times in between each specific implement.
Oh no, I'm talking about like when you exert effort.
I know.
So what
I'm
it
just
sounds
saying
like
that,
to
like-
me, guys. What it sounds like to me, guys, we need to maybe schedule it out because this debate could be potentially another episode because this is we've been debating
It's pretty
this for a
long
long
now.
minute.
Yeah.
So we could maybe schedule that for another time in the near future because we have a couple really good plans, right, coming up in the near future. I think we have we want to do some historic stuff, right, coming up.
Yeah, I think we can do a strongman history lesson.
I think that would be a lot of
soon.
fun, and I think we could all enjoy that. And then we can revisit our strongman events, and we can pick best carry event maybe in the near future. See how that goes with the group and with the panels. But
Okay.
what do you think, guys? Think we can think we should sign off tonight? Maybe reconvene and
Yeah, I think
continue this debate.
Yeah, I think
another
doing another episode historical, and then we just go through a lot of different interesting events and run through it would be interesting. So I feel like we'll carry that over to next week.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. That sounds like a plan. We can start talking about stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. Brace the weight, strength in numbers. Peace.
Cheers.